Hi, everybody. It is episode 583 of PodQuest.
Hey.
Hey.
Wait, hold on. There we go.
You all right?
We didn't clap.
It's fine.
I'm just saying.
I'll figure it out. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It is Wednesday, October 15th, 2025. I am Chris. With me is Drootin.
Hello.
And Walnut.
Yeah, I'm here.
And yeah, no, totally. I'm also sitting weird and actually holding my laptop up because Benny is laying next to me.
Oh, Benny.
So I'm not
He's
sure
a
I could have
sweetheart.
clapped correctly.
Nice.
That's fine. He's a sweetie.
He is. And Molly's on the floor. She's a good girl.
How's she settling in?
She's doing pretty good. She decided she's no longer willing to be downstairs.
Oh.
Not like in a bad way. So the first week when we got her back home, we kept her downstairs. Like we would go down there with her. We'd bring Benny down, but other than like bathroom breaks, like she kind of stayed down there. This way she could like decompress and not have like too much space to worry about.
Yeah.
In the last few days, she has just climbed the gate that we were putting up there. So I think
Nice.
it was Sunday or Monday night. We put the gate in front of the thing, and like it's not like we're just leaning it, like we're actually like putting it in correctly so like it doesn't move. And like Erica heard the collar jingling from the bedroom and like opened the door, and she was just like walking around the living room sitting there like looking at her. So we ended up like letting her come into the bedroom, and she just sleeps on the floor. So like she sleeps on the floor and doesn't really like, she moves a little bit, but like doesn't like, her movement is mostly like rolling around or like getting up and like repositioning. She's not like waking us up and stuff like that. Especially if we take her collar off. If her collar has a lot of metal on it, like even the buckle is metal. So every time she shakes her head, like the D-ring hits the metal clasp, and it is very loud. But yeah, otherwise, like, and yesterday I went to a client, so it was their first time like home for any extended period of time alone, and we figured like, okay, well, she still seems to like being downstairs. Like she sleeps on the sofas down there a lot. Like that's where we've been putting her food during like meal times and all. So like put the gate up to leave, and within 10 minutes I looked at the camera, and she was in our living room, in our upstairs living room, laying on the floor between the sofa and the coffee table, and Benny was sleeping on the sofa itself. And it's just like, well, yep, no more reason to put a gate up. Unless we're like just trying to keep them separated and like we're both home. But otherwise, yeah, she's just going over it. And like today we didn't put the gate up. Like when Erica left for work, 'cause I was already gone, she just didn't put the gate up. And Molly just slept downstairs on the sofa the whole day. Like when I got home at like 1:30, like she was still down there.
Yeah, she's getting used to you guys, and she wants to be near you. That's nice.
Yeah, she's doing good. She's still uncertain, and like there's a lot of things where she's just very hesitant about, but like she's doing pretty good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's everything going for you guys?
It's going.
Oh, I talked to my boss about the frustration I've been having with work and all of the bullshit competition stuff on Friday, and was met with mostly cookie cutter response of, I understand, I'm sorry, I will pass this up to everyone else. And then a few unexpected I agree with yous, which was nice. So, yeah, there's that. Work's been wonderful. I'm actually still working now for everyone who's listening. My last thing just came over as you were finishing up talking about Molly.
That's always fun.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I guess what's on the agenda then?
On the agenda for this week, Cobb, you went to New York Comic Con. I had a comic-filled viewing session this weekend, watching both Marvel Zombies and Ironheart. Cobb then watched a bunch of horror movies again. Drew played a new board game. I finished The Evil Within. You know, it's actually a pretty busy week. I also played a demo of a game that's on Next Fest, but we'll talk about that if we have time. I forgot about that until we were getting ready to start.
Nope, it's not on the agenda. I'll have to wait till later.
If we have time, like I said.
No time. Later. But yeah, I did pop over for New York Comic Con. It was, as most years, New York Comic Con. I only went up on Sunday, and it was like we had all those storms over the weekend. Like it was pretty miserable Saturday and Sunday. Um,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, like those, it was supposed to be a nor'easter, so like the storms were like predicted Philly to New York, like and everything in between.
Hmm.
So like NJ Transit had a ton of alerts, like expect delays, expect cancellations. Um, so I ended up like out of caution, like kind of dipping out early or on Sunday than I normally would have. So I think I was there from like I got there as doors opened at 10, and I left there at like 2:30 ish. But like I did have there were zero panels on Sunday that were of any interest. Almost all the panels were like workshops and like cosplay related stuff, and I have no interest in those. There were only like one or two like industry panels or like things like that, like spotlights on people, and they weren't necessarily ones that I felt compelled to go to. So I mostly just spent my time like wandering the artist alley and the show floor. Um, from from talking to like our one friend that he's a guest in Artist Alley every year, it seemed like maybe this year was a little bit slower than past years. I don't know if it had anything to do with the weather or not. Still seemed pretty crowded, but even when I was like down in Artist Alley, it wasn't quite as like aggressive as it has been in the past. And from what he was saying, like the other threes like were similar. Like it was a good show, but it wasn't like kind of the breakneck that it usually is for like the artists down there, especially like the artists that are getting like commissioned and things like that. And at this point, like he's done work for Marvel and DC and Image, so like he is drawing a bigger crowd and getting more commissions. So like for him to say that, it's like okay, yeah, no, it probably is a little bit of a slower show this year. It could also just be the price increase because like
It,
every year the ticket prices go up for it, and they keep selling just as many tickets, so it's like it is harder to actually stay there for long periods of time because hey, Rich, you went 2 years ago, I think, right?
I think more than that.
I thought that was just 2 years ago. Maybe yeah, maybe it was like three.
Maybe it
But
was three. I don't remember.
um like it gets so crowded there.
Yeah.
And and the they started it last year and they seem to have expanded on it, excuse me, a little bit this year. They seem to be like trying some new stuff with the show floor. Where historically if you went all the way to like the far side, the far right side from like where you come in at, it tended to be like the smaller tables and booths, like not the big like multi-space booths. And then as you got closer to the middle, that's where you'd inevitably have like the big t-shirt booths that take up like three or four spaces, and that would lead into like the really big like industry booths like your Marvel and your IDW and Image and like Toei Animation and Bando Namkai and like all those like huge ones that have like the big blow ups and statues and stuff all over the place. And then it would transition back into like regular size tables before becoming this weird mismatch where like half the floor were like these like tables and the other half were oddly shaped booths. Like that's usually like that side's usually where like the Funko booth was, and like Crunchyroll would usually have like a big weird presence over there.
Mhm.
Um, but now they're kind of like those like weirdly spaced ones that were generally on like the far side, the far left side. They're kind of like splitting them between like both like far sides. So you get a little bit more like breathing room almost on like the on like each side.
Mhm.
Without having like there's still like these bottlenecks towards the back of the convention hall, just because of where they decide to put certain like food booth things. But at least this year, it didn't seem nearly as bad as like previous years. Like there are some years where like you literally just can't see like an entire corner of the show floor because there are so many people all just kind of like jammed in there. They also just seem to have like made the actual far right wall just permanent food vendors. So like both New York and Anime NYC just have like all these food stalls there every year now, which is nice because you don't have to go fight with like the huge lines down in like the cafeteria for the kind of shitty food they serve down there, or stand outside when the weather's miserable for the food trucks. And
Yeah.
like generally the lines at those ones, like at least so far for me, they haven't been too bad. And like the food's fine. It's mostly like Asian inspired food. So like I had some Japanese curry and then oh fuck, what are they called? The Japanese pancake things. Onomiyaki. They were both good. And apple cider. There was a booth selling apple cider, which I thought was weird, but
Nice.
it was actually pretty good apple cider.
Well, I mean, it's October.
Yeah.
It's apple cider season.
It was just so the whole booth were apple cider donuts and apple cider. I think that was more the weird thing. Like that's all they sold.
That doesn't sound weird to me at all. That sounds incredibly normal for an October event.
Yeah, but it seemed like it was a permanent fixture. Is more the thing.
You know,
'Cause, like
apple cider's great though. Like
I
I
do enjoy apple cider.
love it. I don't hate it.
Look, I do enjoy apple cider.
Yeah.
But yeah, like other than just like the normal kind of too many people, not enough space complaint. I think it was actually a pretty good year. Didn't see a lot of cosplay. But I think a lot of them were like out in like the main hallway, and since I was kind of just in and out this year, I just wasn't kind of walking between halls as much as I usually would.
Mm-hmm.
There was a good one. It was a dude who was just wearing like a Punisher shirt, and he was just carrying a sign on a stick. And I'm just gonna bring up the picture I have real quick so I don't misquote the sign if I can find it. Jesus, there it is. Frank would never tolerate fascism. Neither should you. Resist ICE.
Yes. 100%. Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed.
And just a dude in a Punisher, like he's wearing like like it's a Punisher like tank top and like the like fingerless gloves and like combat pants. So like he's supposed to actually be cosplaying the Punisher, but carrying that sign, it was good. I liked it.
It's just crazy how many people who sit on the right and are the blue line people don't understand how much Frank would hate them when that's all they wear is Punisher shit. It's like, no, you don't understand this character at all. At all.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, decent time. I wandered, checked out stuff at a few booths. I got there was this one booth that did like these like cool wood based things. Including they had like they basically were carving pieces of wood to look like VHSs for like different movies, but like the whole thing was like images from the movie. It wasn't just like a piece of wood that looked like an actual VHS. I'm gonna take a picture and drop it in so you guys understand. It's not gonna be the greatest picture, but it should get the point across. But it was pretty cool. So I ended up buying one that was Hocus Pocus for Erica, just to have like, she doesn't have a ton of in-house decorations, so it was something that she can put up on. It's actually on our windowsill, right?
Nice.
Yeah, and then one of the booths actually, it was Tor, which is like a publishing company. They were selling books for like an author I like early. The book didn't come out till this week, and they were selling it over the weekend, so I bought a copy of it because I'm like, hey, I'll buy this early. I just dropped the VHS thing into the chat here. But yeah, New York Comic Con, it was New York Comic Con. I kind of wish I could have stuck around a little bit longer, or ideally like gone on Saturday because that's when there's more stuff to actually do and see. But I made the executive decision to not try to go to that and also the No Regrets show that night on the same day, which was honestly the right move.
Yeah.
So, because like I could have done both, but I would have been very tired from standing at that like by the end of that day.
Gotta tough it out, man. Gotta tough it out.
I mean, I would have, but it would have definitely just been it would have been tiring and not in the best way. Especially because parking at for Kung Fu Necktie on Saturday was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, it really was.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I had to park at the Fillmore parking lot because there was no parking anywhere else.
I didn't know that No Regrets was doing any sort of like reunion show or anything, so
25th
I would have
anniversary.
gone had I known.
That just goes to show that you don't listen to Drew and I when we talk.
Did you talk about it?
We've talked about it, like not like while recording, but like before and after. We've definitely talked about it a couple times.
But did you talk about the actual show that was going to happen on Saturday?
Yeah, like we said, hey, No Regrets has a reunion coming up. So we talked about like getting tickets and all for it.
Oh, I don't remember. I also had 3 months where I had zero money, so I wasn't even paying attention at that point. Yeah,
that is fair. That is fair. And like it was Kung Fu Necktie, so like tickets weren't too expensive, but with no money, any money is expensive.
I mean, I couldn't even have gone to the Ramones with Jersey Calling. Like,
that show was probably more expensive.
Probably.
Oh yeah,
still,
those tickets were like 45 after fees.
40, yeah.
So
versus I think No Regrets was like what, like 20?
Yeah, 25 at most.
It was a good time though.
Yeah.
But I'm glad for what you saw of New York Comic Con that it was good. I've seen a bunch of people that I follow and get videos and stuff on Instagram and TikTok and whatnot. They had some content from New York Comic Con, and a lot of the content I'm seeing, it seems like a lot of like the bigger common areas weren't as busy, so probably just the show floor that was busy.
Which is always the case. Like the show floor
yeah.
is a nightmare.
Yeah, but like I remember when I went, it was getting into the show floor as well. Like the main hall going in was packed and you couldn't move.
Yeah, it depends what entrance you go through too. Because like if you try to go through that main one, people tend to just loiter there because you get like because it's like the main one right into like the middle of the floor. You get a lot of people that are stopping others for like pictures and all.
Yeah.
And then just everyone's loitering around that entrance trying to figure out like what they need to do and where they want to go.
Yeah.
I tend to go in on the far. I tend to go up the escalator at the farthest right and work my way back, so it's usually a little bit easier to get in. But once you get towards that middle, like every row tends to be tough to get up and down.
Yeah, it's just it was, to be honest, the one time I went, it was so packed and crowded, it felt like a nightmare. It was a bad. It was 2019 that I went. I think it was pre-pandemic, wasn't it?
No, it was post-pandemic because
was it?
Because we tried to go to.
It was when Bleach 1,000 Year Blood War came out.
So it had to have been at least 2023. Yeah, it was 2023 because I went to
2022.
It was 22 or was it 23?
It was 22 because 1,000 Year Blood War premiered October 11th, 22. And they had the first episode of Bleach and the first episode of Chainsaw Man there that year. So it was
that was that long ago?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
So it was post-pandemic. I
didn't think it was 3 years ago. I honestly thought it was 23.
No, yeah, it was 3. But yeah, so like it was so crowded. It was a nightmare, to be honest. It was if there's no good panels going on that you're interested in, there's not really much to do after you walk the show floor once. So it's a bit rough. Like one day is fine, but like the one day would be Saturday because I went 2 days. I went Saturday and Sunday that year, I think. I know I went at least Saturday and Sunday. I don't remember if I went Friday or not.
You just did the 2 days because I remember Saturday.
Yeah,
like we were both there. You ducked out a little early, or did we drive together on Saturday?
Saturday we went together, but I don't know if we drove together, but we came back together. No, Saturday. That's right. Saturday that I went, I was on 295. We passed each other, and I realized I forgot my badge at home.
Yeah, I was about to say, didn't you have to turn around for some reason?
I had to turn around on Saturday.
I thought that was Sunday because Erica usually went on Sunday, but I wonder if she must have gone Saturday.
She went Saturday.
I remember her being in the car with me.
Yeah, she went Saturday that year.
That's Richie.
Because I'm pretty sure Sunday. No, Sunday I left early. So yeah, Saturday it was just me and you. Sunday I left early. Because yeah, Saturday me and you got dinner and then came home. And then Sunday I went and I primarily just went to see Robbie Damon's improv group. And I met up with someone that I met through streaming. And then I basically left after that because I was just, I think I even texted like, there's nothing for me here anymore, dude, I'm going home. And so I left early that day. Because I don't even think we were able to meet up on Sunday. Because you had a bunch of stuff you were doing. Yeah. But yeah, it's a lot. And there's not enough space for a convention like that there at that center. And they need to find more, they need to sprawl more.
Yeah, I mean, they used to it wasn't perfect, but they used to have panels in one of like the theaters in Madison Square Gardens.
Mm-hmm.
Panels actually at another theater nearby, and then they also used to do stuff down the street too. In 2 different directions. Like they had like a book focus thing, like kind of walking back towards Penn Station, and then they had other stuff down near like the Transit Authority and things like south of Javits Center along the waterfront. Mm-hmm. But now it's like everything is in the convention center, and unfortunately, like it's really the show floor that makes it tough because they do have other spaces, but like they have like their queue hall where it's literally just a space for people to line up to get let into things.
Yeah.
That yes is necessary, but like I feel like they could find a better way to utilize some of that space so that something from like the show floor could get moved elsewhere.
Yeah, and it's like when I was trying to, and we talk about this pretty much every year. I wanted to see the Bleach premiere, and the lottery to get it wasn't even like you had to sign up to get a lottery, but the lottery to get in was already sold out, or not? Yeah, I guess sold out before I could even log in 5 minutes after it opened or something. It's just like they
So
have too many people going there.
That was
And
the first year for that, I think, the first or second year. They've actually
yeah,
improved the whole like reservation system. It's
hmm
still like a lottery for it, but it's like an after the fact one. Like so like you go in there and you like buy the reservation for like big things and then they like randomly draw.
yeah,
For things that aren't going to sell out right away, it's just a first come, first serve. So like the
yeah,
Bleach one nowadays would have been like they they become available to like opt in for a reservation on like Tuesday, and then Wednesday they pull like 200 people and say that
hmm
they got it, and then they have
yeah,
like a couple days to like accept essentially.
yeah. I feel like for a convention of that size, with how many tickets they sell, they need bigger rooms for stuff like that.
And so
Um,
like that Bleach panel was in their biggest room.
yeah, and it sold out that fast. Like obviously, so many people wanted to go to that. And they didn't sell tickets. I don't think they sold tickets for it, but it was like you had to reserve your spot. But it's still like
Yeah.
it was gone right so fast, and it's just like that's a convention I'd like to stop by at again on another Saturday or like a year that I have some expendable money, but realize like I don't really know if there's much I'm gonna want to do there. And so, like, it's a hard sell for me to actually go to that show again.
It's
And
tough
it
too because
sucks.
you have to buy the badges basically sight unseen
Yeah.
because they don't release like by the time badges go on sale, like some guests have been announced, but there's no schedules or anything for like what panels or like other events are going on. So
Yeah.
you're buying it just basically on a handful of a handful of guests and a very busy show floor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but
It sucks.
o- overall, it was a pretty good. It was like a pretty good time, like all things considered.
hmm That's
Um,
good.
yeah, yeah. So ne- we'll see what it's like next year. Who
Yeah.
knows? But yeah, and like I bought a handful of things, nothing too crazy. It was just like a couple books and stuff that a bunch of booths were because it was Sunday. They were doing like it was a little wild. It was like 20% off plus buy one get one.
Yeah.
So you got 20% off of the one you paid for, plus a free something with it.
hmm
And then a few booths were just like handing out free things. Like there's some, I think it's actually an anime now. There's a series called like Tower of God. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
No.
It's one of those things that was on like Webtoon, like the free like webcomic platform.
hmm
Um, that is like being printed physically now too. And like I walked through like the Webtoon booth, and there was just like a lady standing in there, like literally with a box of them at her feet, just handing them to people. Be like, hey, would you like a free copy? I'm like, you know what? Sure, well, why not? Let's see what it is. And like stuff like that happened a couple times where it was like legitimate like books and stuff like that. It wasn't just like little samples where it's like a few pages of a couple different things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was fun though. Had a good time.
Nice.
Um,
Nice.
I don't remember what's next. I'll see the outline. Rich, you
So,
watched Marvel Zombies and Ironheart.
yeah, I watched some Marvel shit. I'm gonna start with zombies first, because honestly, it wasn't that good, in my opinion. I loved the What If series, but this zombie series, I think it's 4 episodes. I can't remember. There's no like, it feels like the middle of a series. There's no like, hey, here's how it started. And there's no end. The end of this series is a major cliffhanger, and word on the street is the next season of the series that they just agreed to is going to be focusing around a different character. So we don't even know if we're going to have any resolution to this cliffhanger.
Well,
And like the whole yeah, and it's like it's hard to figure out the timeline. It doesn't fully make sense. So like it's kind of its own universe that didn't stick to the modern MCU timeline. but it had like little similarities to the MCU timeline. So like, for instance, Thanos attacks Wakanda throughout the series. And so it's like, all right, and it had been 5 years since the start of the apocalypse. So it's like, all right, this is taking place post, like, the sort of timeline is post Endgame or post Infinity War. However, Thanos is a zombie during his attack. So it's like, all right, so the zombies had been around since before Endgame. But it also doesn't make sense because, like, the lead characters and a lot of the lead characters are modern age Avengers and are modern day MCU Avengers and not the classic Avengers. It revolves around Kamala Khan, and you got Kamala Khan, Riri Williams, and Kate Bishop on starting it. You have what's her name? Yelena, and not what's her Nat as Black Widow. But like there's no explanation where Nat is. She's not in it. You have Red Guardian in it, and like a lot of there's Shang-Chi is in it. Like the only old school, there's technically I guess only two pre-Endgame Avengers. I guess maybe three if you count a little bit of Ant-Man that you see, but it's Thor, Ant-Man, and Scarlet Witch are really the only like Avengers you have in this movie. Well, Hulk as well, or not movie series. And so like to me, like it doesn't make sense. Why did you choose these New Age Avengers if it's not the modern day story timeline? How did they all meet? How are they friends? It's just like it doesn't connect to me. And not that it needs to connect to the mainstream MCU universe, but it needs to like make sense as to why, like, for instance, they go to New Asgard, which New Asgard only gets formed because Asgard gets destroyed in Thor Ragnarok, but it gets formed post Endgame. So obviously Endgame happens where Thanos attacks the Asgardian ship, but then he then becomes a zombie afterwards. And the way Thor was after he encounters Thanos during the fight in Wakanda, like he basically becomes catatonic. So how did Thor convince all of the Asgardians to come to the Earth? Like nothing really made sense, and I didn't really get it. It even like. Do you mind if I spoil it, Cobb? Because I'm trying not.
I actually have zero interest in ever watching it.
So the most confusing part is the battle, the Infinity Stone battle, ends up with pretty much Thor and Black Panther versus zombie Thanos, who has eventually gets all the Infinity Stones, and the zombie Thanos starts to learn how to control the Infinity Stones. So in a last-ditch effort, having fighting in Wakanda, the best way to stop Thanos was for Black Panther to attack Thanos and knock him into the forge that they forge all the vibranium in. And that causes the stones to get destroyed and causes a big, huge explosion to expand, and that expands across the world from Wakanda. However, what they do is they have Incredible Hulk feed off the energy from that explosion in France. Drew, do you know where Wakanda is?
Isn't it like Southern Africa?
It's Africa. I don't know where in Africa, but it's Africa.
You know, parts of Africa are very close to France, right?
Yes, I know, but like, why wasn't it in Wakanda? Like, because all it was just a pillar of energy behind Hulk that he was absorbing the energy that was, and a big crater. Like, it was in the middle of France. It wasn't like, I was just like, why are they going to France? Why are they in France? It doesn't make sense. Yeah, it was weird. And the whole series was Scarlet Witch, who is the Red Queen, who is the Queen of the Dead, trying to get enough zombies to be able to fight Infinity Hulk. Infinity Hulk ended up being a complete pushover, Like, he was supposed to be super strong because he had the power of the fucking Infinity Stones in him, and he couldn't hold up to like 5 fucking zombies. It was stupid. And it was her, like, Scarlet Witch getting into the head of Kamala Khan saying, I need your power, and we're going to save the world with your power. And then they touch and use their power to, like, quote, fix things. But then the cliffhanger is like, oh, she's just in a reality world, an alternate reality world. And the zombie apocalypse is maybe kind of still happening. It didn't make sense. And, like, Riri Williams, Kamala Khan, and Kate Bishop are all friends when, like, Riri is going to MIT, but also is from Chicago. How would she be in New York and be friends with these two with a New Yorker and a New Jersey Cityan? That doesn't make sense. Like, I just didn't get it. I didn't get it. I didn't get how any of this connected, and I didn't get how, like, I didn't understand why they went with the choice of the modern Avengers and not the classic Avengers or anything like that. It was all weird. I will say the best part was Blade Knight. Blade Knight was the best part of the series. And
what is Blade Knight?
Is Blade as the avatar of Khonshu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was great. And they stylized Blade, referencing Mahershala Ali, who's supposed to be playing Blade. I don't know who did his voice. It might have been him. I'm not sure. Yeah, it was a weird it was a weird series. I don't know how the comic went, but, like, I wish it was like a here's how it started kind of thing, and not just like, oh, we're bringing you 5 years in or whatever, where all the known Avengers, like Hawkeye and even, like, Captain America, are already zombies. Captain America's cut in half, and he's just a torso and up. And then, like, fucking Abomination is one of the main villain zombies. Like, why are you going to pull Abomination of all villains that you could pull for this? I don't know. It was weird. It wasn't terrible, but like, the animation was cool and stuff. It just, the story just didn't really work. It just didn't really make sense to me. However,
yeah, I've never actually, like, I've always thought the Marvel zombie stuff was actually kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Like, just in general. But I also don't really care for zombies at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I liked the zombies episode of What If, but, like, they didn't really even stick with that. Like, maybe they did a little bit, but not really. And it's not that universe that they showed in What If, because that universe was kind of destroyed during the What If series. So What If series, fantastic series. I absolutely love that series. And I believe this was made by the same maker, like, by the same team that did that. It's the same art style, but it's just, like, story-wise, it just didn't really work. At one point, they're crossing Pennsylvania to get to Ohio. And they're crossing the mountains. They're crossing the mountains to get to Ohio. And the mountains that they get to is known as the Valley of the Damned, because it's just a big, like, hole in the mountains that there are two powerful beings that continue to fight each other for all eternity, because they're just too strong for each other and neither of them can stop each other. Who do you think those two powerful beings were?
Honestly, I don't know.
Just try to guess. Try to guess any of the known MCU characters that we have. Give me one of the two.
Thanos?
No. Thanos, we already talked about, was killed 5 years prior. It's Carol Danvers as a zombie.
Okay.
And the fucking Superman copy clone in the Eternals, who's not a zombie because he's not organic.
Oh, yeah, that guy. I know who you're talking about. Rob
Icarus?
Stark, right?
No, I don't. Yeah, Rob Stark. I don't know who. I can't remember who played. But they fight for all eternity because they can't stop each other. But anybody who passes through the valley, they kill. Because if you draw their attention, they're going to... Even Rob Stark, the person who is not a zombie, is going to kill anybody who passes through. No. And, like, to me, that was weird, because the way they were fighting up in the sky, and it was like thunder and lightning, and, like, it looked like lightning strikes were hitting the ground, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be Thor versus Storm, or something like that. That would be a cool thing, because they've had Storm in what's it called? In fucking, why am I blanking? In What If? and they're making a lot more references to mutants. So why not be Storm versus Thor? One of them being a zombie, have Storm be the zombie, Thor not be the zombie, and their powers are matched, and that would be really cool. No, it was Carol Danvers and fucking Rob Stark. I was like, that's stupid. That's just dumb. Um, yeah, it was just, it was weird and weak, and yeah, I don't know.
When did
It's
it
getting
come
a
out?
second season, but we'll see. It just came out like
Oh,
within a
okay.
month. Yeah.
I didn't know if it was like I know they've been advertising it a lot for a while, so I didn't know if it came out a while ago and I just missed it.
No,
Um,
it's within a month.
that makes like the Internals stuff even weirder because that movie flopped hard and no one thinks about them anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean they used Eternal stuff in Captain America, so obviously they're like kind of thinking about them and trying to like pull them in still.
Well, I mean they showed the Celestial because they had to because you can't ignore that for that long. Literally, like
Yeah,
the thing growing out of the ocean.
yeah, exactly.
They never have to reference the Eternals again.
True, true. Um, but yeah, it was a weak series. However, Ironheart, I think was very good. I'm not fond of the resolution, the very end of the ending, but overall, the whole series as a whole was very good. It teaches you a lot about Riri Williams and her past and her life, and everything that happens post Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and how she settles into MIT and stuff like that. And pretty much it is a story about someone. It is like it is you can look at it as a highly political story about someone who's from like a lower status family, a lower wealth family who's trying to do something as good as someone who's got billions of dollars like Iron Man. And how's she gonna do it? And unfortunately, in order for her to do stuff like this, she has to skirt the line of good and bad. Um, and a portion of the series is her working with a crew of people who, like, essentially, they're like, it's a Robin Hood story in a sense. The people they are stealing from and money from are very wealthy, rich people that are causing a lot of problems in the community of Chicago, in the communities of Chicago, and so they're stealing from them. However, they're not giving back to the poor; they're keeping for themselves. So it's not fully a Robin Hood story, but it's about her and her. She gets kicked out of MIT, and she's trying to settle back in, and still trying to engineer her suit and make her suit work, and create an AI that will help her guide her suit. And do you mind spoilers for this? Yes or no?
I do kind of want to get around to watching
Okay,
that one at some point.
that's why I wanted to ask.
The animated ones I just don't care about. But that one I
Yeah,
am mildly curious about.
yeah. She creates an AI, and there's an issue with the AI and stuff, and the the villain, the main antagonist slash villain slash like other character that you kind of watch is you deal with the Hood, which if you know
Okay.
anything about the Hood, you know basically that a lot of the story is going to go on. Um, do you know anything about the Hood?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so
He has like a mystical hood and
do you know where the
Parker
Hood comes from?
Robbins.
Do you know where the Hood comes from? Like the actual cloak that he gets?
I know he steals it, but I don't remember where it actually originated in the comic.
Do, I mean, do you mind if I talk about that?
No, it's fine because it's probably the same
Okay.
as the comics.
I think so. It's Mephisto's hood. It's an item from Mephisto. He makes it
Oh,
in
that's
the
right. I
comics.
did hear that Mephisto
Yeah.
finally appeared in this show.
Yeah, in the comics he makes a deal with Mephisto and he gets the hood, and it's similar style in this one. He makes a deal with Mephisto and he gets the hood, and it gives him some mystical powers and stuff like that. So like there were people that were complaining about Ironheart, like, oh, I don't like that they're bringing magic into it. And I was a little like confused about that. I'm like, she's all about tech and science. Why are you going to bring magic into it? But she's not using magic. She's fighting magic. So it's like it's different. And I'm like, okay, that's science versus magic. That's a cool thing. They bring in some characters that I never heard of that like pulls for you might be interesting to see. Do you know who they have playing Mephisto?
I remember seeing it when it like originally got revealed, but
Fucking
like I
Borat.
oh
Borat.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Sacha Baron Cohen. So the first scene, which you don't see him till the last episode, and the first scene I see Mephisto, I'm like, is that Sacha Baron Cohen? And I look it up, and then the whole time I'm seeing him, I'm just thinking of the scene from Borat where he's like, "I'm King of the Castle, King of the Castle," and I'm just like, oh no, man. But he does wonderful. He does so good as Mephisto. I think the whole series is cast well. I think the whole story of the series was done well. I feel like the resolution was kind of, and like I'm not talking about like how they wrap up everything. I just like the last scene or two of what happens. I'm just like I don't really like that. I don't really like that they did that, but I mean we'll see what happens when the next season comes out if we're getting a next season. Which I think we should be. I didn't look up to see if they're getting it, but like I think everyone did great. It was such a fun series. It was a good series. Not too like it was not like super heartfelt, but it had like some powerful messaging and stuff like that too. And it was a fun little series to watch. And it's short. It was six episodes, no more than 6 hours, less than 6 hours for sure.
Yeah, I know it wasn't many episodes.
Yeah.
Apparently it got review bombed because people suck.
Because oh no, it's a female lead, and oh no, she's also black. So let's hate it. Fuck you.
Yeah, pretty
No,
much.
it was a good. Everyone they have talked to a few people, and they're all like, oh, I thought it was really good. It was a really good series, and I did too. Like I'll be honest, I wasn't really too fond of Riri in Wakanda Forever. I feel like I don't know. I didn't like how they were directing her to act, and then in this one like it was calmed down way more
Well, and they
than
also
how she
like
was
she
in
had
that one.
6 episodes to be
Yeah,
explored versus a small part of a very long movie.
yeah, yeah, pretty much.
But cool. I'm glad you liked that one.
Thanks.
Anything else you want to say about it before we move along?
No, let's move along because I have some work to do while we move along for a second.
All right. Well, I watched more movies as you do this time of year. Sorry, I'm just noting the time. I forget what movies I watched. Here they are. So we caught up on the Final Destination. We watched Bloodline, which actually one of the better Final Destinations. Because it changed things up a little bit. Whereas in all of the previous ones, like I talked about last week, it's like the movie starts with like an accident or like something large scale and murderous happening
Right.
to a bunch of people, and then it suddenly like jumps back and you find out that like one of the people they were showing through the whole thing actually had like a vision of it happening, and that person then makes a bunch of other people leave for one reason or another, and those people don't get murdered, and then throughout the whole movie they just get murdered by like less and less realistic means as death hunts them down. This one, Bloodlines, was actually the movie opens up in like the late 1960s with like a fictional structure that would be similar to like the Sky Needle in Seattle. We actually initially thought it was the Sky Needle because we missed the little subtitle. But it was supposed to be like the Skyview Tower in like upstate New York, and the tragedy was like basically the whole thing like fell apart because of like shoddy construction and a bunch of like happenstance. The person who visioned it though went a little crazy and ended up like living for decades after the vision, but because of that like she had a whole family, so like she had 2 kids, her 2 kids had multiple kids, um and they figured out that death was going for all the people she saved, including her, in order. So, like, the first person that was supposed to die, their whole family slowly died over decades. From like not just from like age or like illness, like like shit falling on them, cars crushing them. I think actually when we watched it, there were actually references to some of the accidents from the other movies potentially being related to those people that like were descendants of somebody that was saved in the 60s. So this movie ended up being more like this family trying to figure out how not to die because it was coming for all of them. And it ended up just kind of being an interesting way to take that, where it wasn't just a group of strangers trying to like figure it out. And this was the final filmed appearance of Tony Todd, who like Candyman from all the Candyman movies. And he had like a very like kind of poignant scene where I wish I would have looked it up beforehand. He basically got like he knew he was dying when he filmed that, and like he looks pretty weak and he's very thin in the movie.
Okay.
But the director let him improv his final line, which was something along the lines of like live life to the fullest because you never know when it's just going to run out. And delivered by a guy who, other than I think 2 of the 6 movies, was like involved in all of them. Who was like at that point also dying. You know, very very poignant to like both the moment and real life.
Mhm.
But overall, like Bloodlines was, probably one of like the top 3 of the Final Destination movies.
Cool.
And then we watched Until Dawn, which is loosely based on the game from
Yeah.
2015.
Okay.
The game was better. Like the story in the game was better. The game also had better actors and more notable actors, even at the time.
I mean, it's really hard to do a choose your own adventure movie. So,
But so like even if you just look at the core plot of the game, even taking out some of like the choose your own adventure stuff, it was just better. So what they did with the movie, have either of you played the game?
no.
Nope.
Okay, I didn't think so. So in the game, like Rich, like you said, it's like a choose your own adventure. There's like a cast of 6, 7, 8 characters that you kind of like rotate between controlling different ones at different times, and throughout it, like they get split up into different groups, and there's a few different kind of like horror mysteries going on depending on like which group you're following, and they're all at their friend's like mountain getaway mansion that like his family owns a year after his sister died, if I remember correctly. And there's just like a handful of like weird things going on, and there's lots of like little Easter eggs and stuff. Depending on like what you're doing, a couple of them tie into some of the other games that that studio ended up doing later. But like overall, like it was like an interesting story, and it had like so that game was 2015, and it had like Rami Malek, who at that point he had been on TV and he was in the Museum movies, but then he went on to like pretty sure he won an Oscar for playing Freddie Mercury, and has been in a bunch of other stuff. It had Robbie Amell from like Legends of Tomorrow and that show Upload.
Mhm.
It had, I'm drawing a blank on the actress's name, but she was Claire on Heroes, the cheerleader, and she was a little girl in Remember the Titans.
Hayden Panettiere?
Yeah, her. Like, they had like actual people, like named actors that like you could recognize. I'm sorry, it wasn't Robbie Amell. It was the dude from Agents of Shield, Ward, the guy who like he was like the cookie cutter Shield agent, but was actually the Hydra agent and was way cooler of a character as a bad guy.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Like, so, but like people you'd recognize were in the video game. In the movie, it was a bunch of people that like haven't been in anything, and they weren't necessarily bad at it, but the movie was just it was horror movie Groundhog's Day. They were trapped in this like cabin, not even cabinet. It was kind of like a mansion in the middle of nowhere, and they just kept dying gruesome deaths and coming back to life. And they had 13 tries to make it till dawn. Like if they made it till sunrise, they would be released. And like,
Interesting.
yeah, again, like it wasn't necessarily a bad movie. It just felt kind of uninspired and kind of parts of it were kind of boring, and it was kind of long
Mhm.
for like what they were doing. So
Makes
yeah,
sense.
would not recommend the Until Dawn movie. Just go play the game. It is basically a movie. I think you could even
Yeah.
put it on like cinematic mode, and it makes some of the like the time buttons things a little bit easier, so you can really just like it just becomes an interactive movie at that point.
Yeah.
And then after that, we watched The Woman in the Yard, which that was another weird one. I didn't really know what to expect of it. trying to think of the best way to describe it. So like it's one of those, a family like loses somebody. So in this case, it was a woman and her two kids lost her husband like before the movie started. And randomly this woman dressed in all black with like a black veil and everything just shows up in a chair on their property, and they have like a big farmhouse. And throughout the movie, like she's just kind of sitting there, not acknowledging or interacting with anyone. And like every so often she'd move closer, and like weird things were happening. Until finally it became like overtly supernatural. And I don't know, like it it was hard to be interested or to care about anything that was happening in that one. Like none of it was bad. It was just kind of like, okay, like this is what's happening. Probably the biggest swerve in it was actually like, and I guess swerve isn't even the right word. The most surprising thing was what the woman was actually there for. I kind of thought she was like related to them grieving or something like that, but that wasn't the case. And I was actually a little surprised, like why she was actually there.
Hmm.
So it got points for that at least. But honestly, not a lot else to say about that one. Like it was fine. You can totally watch it. It's not like a bad movie, but there's just not a lot of lot to say about it. Then next up, we watched Escape Room. That one was it was funny because they leaned into escape room stuff really, really hard, and not in like a bad way. So there was one character that was like super into escape rooms and just kept trying to rationalize how they're all fine, nothing bad is going to happen. The game masters set this up like the very first room is like a waiting room that they're all there for, not realizing like what's going on. And then it literally becomes an oven. Like the ceiling opens up and there's oven coils, and then like they do another thing that then trips like these wall panels to open up and release more oven coils, and literally starts baking them. And they figure out the puzzle, and they get out of the room like just in the nick of time. And the kid who is like all about the escape rooms, just like, so the last thing that comes down is an actual like broiler comes from the ceiling and lights the whole room on fire to the point where like the fire travels through like the duct system that they were escaping through. And he gets out just before it like explodes like through that, and is like, see, it went off right as I escaped. Like it was totally planned. I was never in any danger. And like that's him through like three rooms, just like, yeah, that there's nothing wrong here. Like this is normal. It's just a little more, it's trying to keep us on edge. Meanwhile, like people are dying, and he's just like, no, it's their fault.
Mhm.
But it in the end, it actually it ended up being a little bit more like a Squid Game thing than just like a twisted like Saw situation, which I kind of thought it might have been like a Saw situation. Like one person saw these people that had like varying tragic things in their past, and was basically trying to like push them to like the edge the way like the first couple of Saw movies did. And that wasn't the case at all. It was actually, a little bit darker than that, because not totally unrealistic for the way the world is right now. But it had some of the room design and stuff like that was actually pretty clever. There was one, I think it was the fourth room. When they get into the room's upside down, so like they walk into the room and they're actually on the ceiling, and like all the stuff they need is like connected to the ceiling of the, like, like it's flipped upside down. And as they're trying to uncover stuff, their floor, the actual room ceiling, starts falling away and just dropping them hundreds of feet into a pit. So they're all like trying to like hang on to like wall art and stuff like that as they're trying to figure out the puzzle for the room. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, and Erica actually made a good point like early on when we were watching it. A bunch of it had it had a vibe similar to, do you guys know the movie Cube, or The
Yes.
Cube?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So
so it was a movie that went around the friend group back in the day. You might have seen it, Drew, but it's one of those
Yeah.
like not good but not bad movies. Um, and yeah, it was one of those very low budget one room horror movies where the whole idea was you're trying to escape a cube and you're trying to figure out the path out of a cube of cubes. Um,
Yeah, and like every cube had like a different like trap to it,
Yeah.
and no one really understood why they were there or how to get out. But like each person tended to have like one thing about them that made them useful in the cube for one reason or another.
Hmm.
And like it it kind of had like a similar like feel to that, like not so much in like the cube sense, but like each person seemed to be there for a reason and had like some skill that ended up coming in like at least somewhat helpful. um and every time they got into a room, like there was some sort of gimmick and trap to the room. But overall, it wasn't bad. Like if you're looking for just kind of like a stupid like thriller ish movie, it's not a bad one. It does end on a little bit of like a cliffhanger, which
There
is a
is a
bummer.
sequel.
Is there?
Yeah, it's called Escape Room Tournament of Champions. I only know this because I've seen scenes from that one, and so I had to look it up and ask you about that scene. Um, and it
You know,
was, but it wasn't in that scene. It
you
wasn't in
know,
that movie, that scene, so I had to find it.
I looked at the actual original movie. I looked at the original movie's Wikipedia at like right as we finished it, and I'd read it wrong. I thought it said that it there hadn't been anything since 2021, meaning that like there was talks of a movie,
Hmm.
but it hadn't ever like it had fizzled out since then.
Yeah,
Did not realize that there was actually a sequel.
yeah.
Um,
So it
so
follows, I believe, the character who survives. It follows them in the next movie.
yeah, it looks like it. Which actually, like, I'm glad they did that because it does end in such a way where it's like, well, that kind of sucks. Why don't we? Now we don't know how it how it ends.
Hmm.
But yeah, overall, like, definitely not a bad movie. And I would, if the sequel is available anywhere,
It's on
I might see if
Netflix.
Erica wants to watch it. Is it on Netflix?
It's on Netflix.
That's weird because I don't think the first one was Netflix, wasn't it? Yeah. We've been jumping around between platforms because like every movie's on like a different streaming service.
Hmm.
So like it's hard to keep. A lot of them have been on HBO. HBO is a good place for these movies.
Yeah, makes sense.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah,
But then
the escape room movies have been movies that I've been interested in watching. Just never. I don't tend to watch horror movies by myself, so it's never
but
something I think about. Like, oh, let me watch a horror movie.
and like to be fair, like those movies are definitely not horror movies. They're definitely more in line with like your Saw movies.
Yeah,
But they're less. They're not gory like the Saw movies are.
yeah,
Like most of the deaths are actually like they're
yeah.
fairly
Th-
tame as far as like movie deaths go.
They're more like about tension and suspense more so than horror. But
Yeah,
tension and
exactly.
suspense build the same feelings as like a general horror because that's what horror is built around is like when is the monster going to attack and stuff like that. This is like more of a psychological tension and stuff like that.
Exactly. And then the last thing we watched though was Death of a Unicorn.
I wanted to see that when it was coming out. I still want to watch it. The movie looks ridiculous.
It's ridiculous in like a lot of really fun ways. It's I mean it's more comedy horror than anything. Um, and it stars Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega.
Hmm.
So like for being like a weird camping movie, it had two, fairly well established actors in it. Um,
Wasn't the whole cast pretty solid too? Like,
Actually,
or
yeah, like so the one the like old rich guy in the movie is he's like one of those actors where I knew his name, but I don't know that I'd ever actually seen him in anything.
yeah, I mean, you
Um,
got Jenna Ortega, Will Poulter, Paul Rudd. Um,
Richard
okay, those
Grant,
are
I think,
yeah,
was
Richard
the other
Grant.
guy.
Yeah,
Tay Leone, and then the guy I never remember the actor's name, but Rich, you watched Gotham, right?
yeah, that's Poulter. Or no,
No.
hold on.
Will Poulter is from he was most recently in Guardians 3. He played
Hmm.
Adam Warlock.
Adam Warlock. Yeah,
But he was also in the movie We're the Millers.
yeah,
He was like the nerdy kid that Jason Sudeikis roped into it.
yeah.
No, the guy that played Zaz on Gotham, like the guy that he's bald,
He's not
and
in
very
this.
pale. Yeah, yes.
He's not showing on the Google casting.
Well, that's because the Google casting usually sucks. But I promise you, he was in it. He was like a butler. Um, and yeah, but yeah, good cast in the movie. Really, really dumb premise, but in like a really good way. Um, and it was it was just like over the top funny. Like the movie, like the whole idea of the movie is like Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega accidentally kill a unicorn, but it's like one of those like classic like driving in like the mountains. They hit like a like hit a deer sort of thing, but it was a unicorn, and they don't know what to do, so they try to put it out of its misery, and he just beats it to death with a fucking tire iron, and then horror ensued. It did do. It made a good choice by not overdoing the CG. Like the the unicorn looked weird because it was like a fuzzier horse, but with like these razor teeth. And then obviously like the big horn. But rather than them having the unicorn just like always kind of being fully visible and frankly making it even campier and like almost probably looking low budget, they kept a lot of it like shadowy and like in the dark and stuff like that. So you could have, limited CG or even like practical effects. Because in some of the scenes they could have just really used a horse and just had like a horse running like between things in like the dark. And it worked because you weren't like distracted by like, oh, that is obviously fake. But it was fun, and it went in some weird directions, and the rich people really were just the worst. Like once they figured out that it was a unicorn and that like there were like healing properties associated with it, like the shit these rich people were doing, like the son Will Poulter made like a cocktail out of the unicorn blood and was crushing up the horn and snorting it like cocaine. It was it really said a lot about rich people.
So Google casting did have him listed, but the image they use for him looks nothing like him. It's such an old image.
Really?
Anthony Carrigan. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Anthony Carrigan, and the image they use for him, it has to be from, let's see, he was born in 83, has to be from the early 2000s. Like he's got a full head of hair. And he looks much younger. Like because I was like, no, he was Metamorpho in Superman. I was like, and that had like every photo you have of him everywhere else, he's got no brows, he's got no hair. But the image they use on Google was such an old image that I just didn't recognize him with any hair on him, let alone eyebrows.
Yeah, I forgot he was in Superman.
Yeah, he was well, I mean, you couldn't really tell because he was covered in makeup.
Well, to be fair too, I still have not watched Superman. I just forgot that he was supposed to be.
It's such a good movie. Such a good movie.
It's on HBO. Like I'll watch it eventually. It's just this month is, it's horror spooky. So
yeah. But yeah, the Death of a Unicorn looks fantastic. It looked great.
That of all the movies we watched, like that is probably the one I would say is like actually worth watching.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the only two that probably aren't worth watching are Until Dawn and Woman in the Yard. The rest of them are at least like fun for one reason or another.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are movies. Now, Drew, I believe you played a board game.
Yeah, I did. I played a game called Hot Streak. It is, what if you were degenerate gamblers betting on a mascot race? And it's real dumb and real good. They did an incredible job on the figures. They're super detailed. Like they even have the eyes of the human inside the outfit. I just posted a picture in our group chat. And so there's 4 mascots. You have an assortment of cards. I don't know exactly how many are in the box, but you take out a certain number depending how many people are playing, shuffle them up, deal everyone else 3 cards. You deal out all the cards that are, or you put the cards face up that you dealt out originally for the deck, so everyone has an idea of what will happen in the race, but then everyone adds one of the 3 cards from their hand to the deck without anyone knowing, and then you make your bets and then start shuffle up the cards and then start dealing out and see what happens in the race. Some of the cards will have the mascot fall over, some will have them turn around, some will have them move left or right after they move their spaces forward. If they run into each other, whoever gets run into gets knocked over. If you get run into a second time, or your fall down card comes up while you're already knocked down, the mascot's disqualified and comes in whatever the lowest place left is. If they run off the board, either to the side or by turning around and running backwards off the board, they're also disqualified because that totally happens. It's when the first time I played it, the hot dog mascot, basically every race immediately would turn around and just run backwards off the track.
Oh, poor guy.
Those little like mascot. I'm assuming from the picture they're like actual like the figurines for the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like those are sure something.
And like the track is like just pulls out of the back of the box, and then the box has a knob on each side to just roll it back up into the box. And it's really well designed, and it's really funny. And
Nice.
Both times I played it once down the shore back in the summer, and then I played it on Monday with my brother and a couple friends. Like 2 seconds into the game actually happening, everyone gets way invested in like what the next card is going to be and what's going to happen next.
How long does like a round take? Like it doesn't look like it's probably very long.
5 minutes, if that.
Oh, nice.
Their website says 20 minutes. So.
Well, that's 20 minutes for the full. So a full game is like you do 3 races.
Yeah.
So yeah, a full game is like 20, 25 minutes.
That's still not bad. Like that's like a nice quick game.
Yeah.
It's also a game where if you have more than 4 people, you can still involve other people by like having them do bets on things and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, you don't control the people at all. So,
well, you play the cards, which kind of leads the people in one way.
Well, no, I mean, like, so technically, the game wants you to split up the roles into 3 things. You have your bookie who hands out the bets, your banker who hands out the money, and then the one person who is handling the deck of cards. So it's not like somebody's playing the fish cards or the hot dog cards. Like, all the cards get shuffled together, and then one person is just flipping the cards.
But you were saying that people put cards into, like, there's a set of cards that are in the deck, and then everyone puts cards into the deck.
Everyone just puts in one card.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the website says 2 to 9 plus. I'm like, you could probably limit it down to like a couple of people with everyone else just gambling. Like, you don't want to have 30 cards playing or whatnot. So like it's one of those cool games where like it's an interactive game in a sense that everyone can play even if you're not playing.
And I mean, the more people that are playing, the fewer cards you know ahead of time.
Yeah.
So like we played with 4 people. It has you deal 11 cards to the race deck, is what they call, like, the cards that are face up at the beginning when people are making their bets. As you like every player you add, you take 1 card away from the deck.
Okay.
So it's always the same amount of cards being played, but less knowledge up front.
Yeah. Interesting.
But yeah, it's silly. For every dollar amount you finish with, there's a different like little 1-sentence story for what happens to your person after the day's races. Like, I think the person that won our game had like $76 at the end, and their thing was they go broke by spending all their money on a rich guy top hat. And so like you either you can bet on like where the mascots are going to finish, and then there's also a side bet each race that'll be something like, is this mascot going to finish in the top 2? Is a mascot going to get disqualified, or things like that? So it's fun. It's goofy.
Yeah, that seems kind of cool.
Yeah. And like I said, very, very well designed.
It's nice when like those like kind of quick games are actually like well done. Sometimes you find them and like they're, not.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else you want to say about it?
Nah, it's good though.
Well then, Rich, how was the rest of Evil Within?
It was weird. To be honest, the home game is just weird. So I think I went into it last week. That like it turned like you find out at some point that you're like in the head of the main villain and you're trying to stop him. And just like that's what like took me out because it was like every level is disconnected from the previous level. You're jumping from world to world, basically. Nothing really makes sense. And it really still like doesn't fully make sense. Even at the end, even after you leave his head, it just really is just like, all right, this is just weird. Because you end up killing him in his brain. Uh, which, I mean, it's his head. He's all powerful. How are you able to kill him? But it's just like it felt like it kind of tried too hard. And it tried too hard to be too similar to Resident Evil 4, and that made it kind of hurt more. And there was just some sequences that just like felt really weird and awkward. There was a sequence that you like you were being chased by a boss on a van or in a bus, in like a school bus. And the boss ends up ripping the top of the school bus off. So you have one person driving the school bus while you and the other person are shooting at the boss, who's this giant spider thing. And at one point you take out the giant spider thing, but then like you get stuck in an area where being like held up because there's cars in front of you. And all the person had to do was just drive through the cars. But no, instead you get stuck in there and you have to fend off a horde of enemies coming at you until eventually she's like, we gotta go, and gets onto the bus again and drives through the cars that are in front of her that were there the whole time. And then there's a sequence where like your partner gets shot and there happens to be an ambulance like down the street from you. And so you have to go get that ambulance and see if there's anything to help staunch the bleeding from his bullet wound. So you then go off by yourself, you stop the bleeding, or you get the whatever it is, the thing that stops bleeding. You get out, and then a Humvee pulls up with a machine gun on it. And you have to then like make your way around the rest of the enemies that are there, take out the enemy that's on the machine gun, and then use the machine gun to kill all the enemies. And then hordes and hordes and hordes of enemies are coming at you. And this whole time, your two partners, are not bringing each other to the Humvee to drive the Humvee with the giant fucking minigun on it. No, you just have to sit there and shoot at the enemies and then run over to this fucking school bus that's mostly destroyed. It's like you would have had more room to heal the guy in the Humvee than you would on this school bus that's like falling apart. And then immediately after that, you get on the school bus and now you're driving the school bus, not your partner's, and you have to dodge cars. And I'm like, a lot of it just tried too hard is what it felt like. The final level was just a bunch of like, again, gauntlet rooms where it was like, kill all the enemies here, then get to the next room, kill all the enemies there, get to the next room, kill the two boss enemies here, get to the next room, sneak through all this shit here, and get to the final room, and the final room ends up being a big old boss fight with the final boss. However, the big old boss fight for the final boss is kind of just light gun sequences and stuff where you're just kind of shooting at him a few times, and then eventually it turns into, all right, now you have a rocket launcher, but you can't move from where you are, so you just got to shoot the enemy enough times and break his head, which was just stupid because like you had limited shots, and if you ran out, you died. And it was not an easy thing to aim. It didn't lock on or anything, and you would have to shoot the enemy, the boss, and hit him to a point where he would stagger and then stop moving, and then you would have to aim specifically at his head and hit his head 3 times, but every time you hit his head, he woke up. It was not really fun. And then after that, the Humvee kind of like reappears again, and you're using the Humvee to shoot at the boss, but he's swinging his giant arms at you, and you're shooting the arms away, and it was just like, it tried too hard to be action. And like at the end of it, like the little kid that your partner was trying to kill at one, well, not kid, he was like an adult. But the person that your partner that was also in the head of the villain that your partner was trying to kill, who she ended up being working for the company, for the asylum that you were in the whole time, as like a secret agent for this machine that they had. She was trying to kill this kid. The kid ends up not dying because you save him, and then I don't know, he gets away or something. I don't know. It just really didn't click. The best part about the game was it had Timu Pyramid Head. Let's see if I can find an image of the
Timu Pyramid Head.
Hold on. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. It's Timu Pyramid Head. Let's see if I can get it and send it over. Let's see if this will work. Because sometimes, yep. Here we go. He's a guy with a safe on his head, and an apron, and he walks around with a big hammer and like a bag. He's Timu Pyramid Head, 100%. And like his whole thing is like if you kill him and there's other safes in the room.
Guy.
Yeah, if there's other safes in the room, he'll come back to life with those other safes. And there was a sequence where you had to kill 2 of them at once, and it was just a pain. And like as the game went on, the midpoint of the game, I had too much ammo, and as the end of the game came, I was running low on ammo. And it did get a little bit frustrating. And it's just like this style of survival horror and this style of like psychological horror just aren't fully my cup of tea. The sequel is shorter, and from what I hear, better. So I will be playing The Evil Within 2. But like this one is just like, it was fine. That's about it.
Yeah, I feel like I've always heard, like, not always, but the general consensus was like Evil Within 2 was a better.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why people say it, but like it always seems like people are a little bit more up on the sequel than the original.
Yeah. From what I hear, the combat is better in general. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how I feel about it. Hopefully, it's a little bit more connected and not as disconnected and not as like weird and jarring for the jumps in regions that you're going into, and hopefully, it's not as confusing as to what's going on. But yeah, it was fine. I don't think I'll ever play it again. But I'm happy I played it, and yeah, that's about it. That's really all I had.
Okay, cool. Well, that's probably a show. That's a good hour and a half.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you'd like to find any more of our content, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest. If you can't support us there with your dollars, though, you can go to your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, rate us, review us, subscribe to us. It all helps. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/onequestonline or at @1_quest on Instagram and Twitter. And our blue sky is at one-quest.com. We are also on YouTube, youtube.com/onequestvideo. And you can always send us an email to social@one-quest.com. And Rich, what does your streaming look like?
Twitch.tv/b_walnuts, where I video game stream Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Yeah, we're playing Evil Within 2. And then yeah, maybe we'll start Expedition 33. Maybe we'll try some other stuff. I did try out the
Wasn't there another horror game you were going to do if you finished up both the Evil Withins?
It was gonna be Ghostwire Tokyo, which isn't necessarily horror.
Not a horror game. But it was not like still Tango GameWorks.
Yeah, but it still has like horror themes to it because it's like supernatural themes to it. But like I don't really know if I want to play that or not at the moment. Like I kind of just like I feel like I could justify Expedition 33 and being pseudo horror with some of the themes and how the art and whatnot. That like I could argue that that's horror enough to start it during Spooky Month. But yeah, so that is really all Sea of Thieves, and we'll be getting into a bunch of stuff. And if you have not come and hung out and donated for me for Breast Cancer Awareness Month for October, since I do charities each month, this month is for Breast Cancer Research Foundation. Come and donate if you want to have me like do other games like the Portal games and the Hellblade games, and we can do a watch party of the Mean Girls musical on my Discord because I did all female lead stuff because we're trying to save the boobies.
Have any of the things been unlocked yet?
We haven't gotten any donations yet.
Okay.
For at least from my part of the campaign, no, but I'm sure they have for the other campaigns. But yeah, other than that, Drew, real quick, and also, guys, I can't remember if you said this. Don't forget book club next week. We're watching Tour de Pharmacy.
Tour de Pharmacy.
Yes, Drew, I've been watching the Dropout Titan Takedown series, which is the D20 wrestler series.
How is it? I keep meaning to go watch it.
Dude, it's incredible, and it's no more than like 9 hours long. You should watch it before next week because I'll have it done probably tomorrow, and we can talk about it tomorrow.
I definitely won't be able to watch all of it. Yeah, I probably won't be able to watch all of it before next week, but I'll definitely make sure to at least start watching it.
It's incredible. It's the only thing that'll ever get me into wrestling, and this is the kind of wrestling that'll get me into. That's it.
Well, with that, I guess we'll be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
See yas.
Bye.